Welcome to this video on using if-else in Python. My name's Andy Wicks, and here we're going to do a few things. We're going to revisit what a Boolean is, we're going to create a simple if statement, and then a slightly more complicated one. We'll then move on to if-else, and then you'll see that the logic can get a little more complicated, although there are ways of dealing with that as I'll show you in the next video. But let's get going. Let's start the program running. First, I'm going to declare a couple of variables. I'm going to say that my age is 97, which is not far off, and my IQ is 100, which is probably a bit of an overstatement, as those I've taught will tell you. I'm going to set up a simple if now. If my age is greater than 65, print you are a pensioner. So it will only do you are a pensioner if my age is more than 65. And as you can see, it says here, you are a pensioner. Now the next bit of code looks very similar. It says if my IQ is greater than 100, print your IQ is over 100, so you're clever. And yet it didn't print anything. Why is that? I set my IQ to be 100. The reason it hasn't printed anything is because it's looking for something greater than 100. And this is a mistake that's often made when you start programming. What the greater sign means is that it will ignore anything of that value or less. So in this case, it will ignore the fact that my IQ is 100, and so it doesn't print anything. It just says, please press a key to continue. So that's what I'll do. As you can see, I've now got two blocks of code. One that says print your IQ is over 100 so you're clever, or you have other talents. And it will determine which gets printed by the condition set up here. My IQ is greater than 100 will give me your IQ is over 100 so you're clever. If that isn't true, so if that's false, it will do the else. So in this case, my IQ is not greater than 100 because it is 100. So it prints out you have other talents, which is true. Now let's move on to see how that could be made a bit better still. Here we have something that says if my age is greater than 65 and my IQ is greater than or equal to 100, so now my IQ can be 100, print you're a smart wrinkly, else print the jury is still out. For it to print you're a smart wrinkly, both my age and my IQ have to be in the limit set. So if my age was 64, it would print the jury is still out. If my IQ was 98, it would print the jury is still out. Both of them have to be true because it's and. If either of them had to be true, I could use or. So if my age is greater than 65 or my IQ is greater than or equal to 100, it would print you're a smart wrinkly regardless of my age, given that the IQ is 100. So you have if and if else and multiple conditions to play with whenever you need them.